Chapter 32. The empowerment of humanity is of the utmost importance in the outcome of the entire scenario. This empowerment cannot come from the outside. This is an inside job that each individual human must accomplish on his, her own. This is not to say that there is not guidance available to trigger and assist. These messages are the perfect example, as are the comments, articles, books, and all other triggering phenomena that are available to accomplish the awakening of each and all. The overload of media availability to many of the current world inhabitants serves the awakening purposes as much as it does as a mesmerizing tool. It takes constant reinforcement to keep the lid on conscious awareness. However, sudden discernment can cause all of the cleverly layered programming to fall away and understanding to instantly awaken when the proper triggers are activated. A simple statement that makes total logical sense within the thinking, nervous system connection causes a realization to register throughout the awareness, and in that moment there is a change in the ability to receive thought that has hitherto gone unheard and unnoticed. It is this process that is the purview of the ground crew. The agreed upon focus of the ground crew involves the awakening process as well as the primary focus of the desire for a new paradigm of experience through outgrowing the victim experience and accepting the responsibility for changing the human experience on this planet. All who respond to this challenge are capable of accomplishing it, or the goal would not have appealed to each in the first place. The Johnny Appleseeds who plant idea seeds are heaven sent to do this. Consider carefully this idiom of speech. Many common sayings, when heard in the new context of change, have been speaking to the consciousness of each for a long time. Those will henceforth have great meaning and will trigger consciousness changes as they are noticed. The awakening process is ongoing once it is begun. Like a good mystery story, one clue leads to another in an ever-deepening commitment, and synchronicities will become a way of life. Chance comments, a word, a storyline, a news note, etc., all will fit into a different context than previously. Particular friendships will have greater meaning and others will diminish in importance as the focus of interest changes. The work, the focus of what it is necessary to accomplish, will redefine the thoughts and the available time. A natural realignment to what is important will change with little direct attention as far as the personal life is concerned. When the focus and the intent are upon the outcome being for the highest and best good for all concerned, it will happen of its own accord. What will be accomplished depends upon the strength of the foundation set forth in the very beginning. The simple statements of intent such as, help for all humans becoming, and, for the highest and best good of all concerned, set that foundation upon a firm and level beginning, for they broaden the focal point beyond the personal scope while yet including it. The globalization of interaction and activity by humanity at this time no longer allows for experiential change to be limited to a country, a continent, or a hemisphere. In order to accomplish the transcendence of humanity on this planet as a whole, it was necessary for there to be an inclusive global consciousness. Until this was possible, change was only piecemeal and easily destroyed from within as well as through direct intervention by those who plan to continue their control. In considering the picture from a linear event observational mode, timing seems inordinately important. Within the understanding that a picture of wholeness can be filled in by events and circumstances that do not appear to be happening in a sequential mode, it is difficult for those participating to ascertain and comprehend the larger picture. Without understanding accomplishments as they fit within the bigger picture, it requires great self-discipline to hold the desired outcome firmly in intentional focus. It is because the increasing inflow of newly awakening awareness requires those of greater understanding to constantly redefine the purpose and the intent. This then in turn refreshes and renews their own focus. From an energetic pattern point of view, this provides for a spiraling of greater available dynamism. It is the entry of more and new awakening awareness that provides this important momentum and allows for a continued increase of available energy that offsets the inevitable fallout of those without the ability to maintain their commitment. Many of these will be drawn back into the activity and again provide the addition of needed impetus. As the focused pattern begins to clarify and increase in momentum, its drawing magnetism will begin to be felt within the planetary mass consciousness. It is when the pattern begins its clarification and its energy begins to draw from the negative focus that the greatest difficulty will be encountered. The assumed superiority of that group is unquestioned in their minds, thus they feel little if any concern about the attempts being made by organized groups to change the perceived future of Earth and its population. It is the lack of organization and the emphasis on individual change and participation that does now and will continue to allow the transcendence of consciousness to reach the momentum and pattern clarity necessary to change the synthesis of the mass consciousness. Once this point is reached, then the methodology as employed by them to control large segments of the mind of humanity will erode quickly, provided the momentum can be maintained. Indeed, critical points will be reached and must be moved through. It is then, in answer to focused and deliberate requests, that outside help can intercede in subtle ways that will assist in moving through those crisis moments. Help to become will be answered. Thought thinking will provide the exact needed assistance. It will not come as intervention, but as assistance. There is a very important nuance in the different meanings of those words to be contemplated and understood. There will be no mass invasion of extraterrestrial ships to rescue humanity. That would not allow mankind to work out its own solution to the dilemma in which it is now embroiled. At all times, humanity must create its own solution to invoking a new destiny story. There must be no misunderstanding of that fact. Victimhood and galactic citizenship are two opposite poles of experience to be understood and deliberately chosen. This is done by way of myriad small decisions and actions as experienced on a daily basis by individuals in their own life experiences. These experiences then gather their own energy pattern reflecting a larger experience by an intentionally focused group of humanity. That is what will bring about the changes so greatly desired, prayed, and begged for by suffering humanity through this long and difficult period of its history. Chapter 33. This is the sequential period of time that is the leading edge of the chaos that has been mentioned many times in these messages. The pattern of existence as it has been known on the planet in recent millennium has begun to disintegrate. As in all cases of disintegration, portions of the coagulated, manifested, energy do not dissolve, but tend to break into pieces that become destructive to the portion that remains intact. In order to understand this, think of energy in a formation that resembles a lovely snowflake. Picture it as made of a sturdy material and see in your mind's eye portions of it breaking into pieces and being tossed about and causing other portions of the pattern to break down from the impact. Since all manifestation consists of solidified energy, this is a reasonable comparison. Once energy is solidified, it does not return to its origin, light, thought, without being broken down by the same creational process in reverse. However, that process is not an assignment for this ground crew. The larger picture that encompasses the totality of Earth and its inhabitants transcending the currently planned future contains many separate foci in order to bring the new paradigm of experience into being. It is only necessary that as much understanding of the process as it is possible to explain and is helpful be included. It is more important that each segment of the whole focus on the portion that is their agreed upon assignment. While all are curious about what the big picture looks like, it would indeed be impossible to explain. It is to be remembered that as thought thinks, nuances of change can cause major differences in outcomes. Because free will is a major component in the process of creation and allows for diversity within wholeness, the mediating factor within the working of the laws of the universe is the ability for thought to think within the whole. In other words, thought thinking can consider all nuances of change throughout the whole and compensate for effects that the finite mind has no way of considering. It is the wisdom that evolving consciousness strives to emulate. The laws of the universe are totally compatible and cooperative. When the laws are invoked, and intent and purpose are in cooperation with them, there are never disagreements or discussions as to what, how, or which method or approach is right. It is simply done in the most advantageous way. There is no ego involvement as is present in situations of less evolved thought processes. It is these ideals that are sought in the dimensional progress of evolving consciousness. As these are mastered, each progressive life experience provides for new and different challenges to be lived into wisdom. Presence on planet Earth in these times is not and will not be lacking in challenges. Opportunities to live challenging experiences into wisdom will abound. Those who can focus their intent and purpose to take advantage of these opportunities will benefit greatly. That is indeed a glib statement that in the moment has little meaning. However, if when others are in panic, one can keep her head clear and listen to the knowingness that is available to all that will listen within, decisive action will prevail in the moment. It is a matter of taking that second or two to listen, feel what is the appropriate thing to do. It is a skill that is acquired by practice. Applying it now in the small decisions that are made each day can provide practice. Much is done by mere habit. As the situation changes, those habitual reactions may no longer be appropriate. It is important to begin to pay attention to the thoughts and feelings, especially those that reflect apprehension or concern. It is time to begin reprogramming the conscious awareness to be more and more active in moment-to-moment decisions. To do or not to do? That is the question to be asked within each conscious awareness. It is of utmost importance that these questions are asked of the individual self-awareness rather than asking others for their opinion. Only the individual is experiencing the decision and is in the situation. The decision may require action in brief moments. Through practice, confidence and trust with that inner knowing part of self will be built. Becoming involved through commitment to the ground crew requires focus of intent and purpose. It also carries with it the advantage of connection to a flow of energy that is purposefully aligned with the universal laws and the flow of intelligent thought that supports creative expansion of thought into matter. This connection involves a balance of responsibility and compensation in direct proportion to contribution. It does not reward foolish input that endangers the outcome. Development of the feeling of appropriate words and actions is a prerequisite to wise participation. The major portion of the process will be accomplished by individual awareness and consciousness change along with dedicated intent and purpose to create the desired new paradigm of experience. It is the focus on the intended outcome through knowing the desired outcome can manifest when participants are in harmony with the laws and truly desire the highest and best good for all humanity on planet Earth. It is to be expected that as the influence of this focus of intent to change the planned destiny of mankind begins to affect circumstances and situations, the usual method of destruction will be employed, that is to infiltrate and destroy from within the organization. However, there will be no organization to destroy. No doubt, individuals will be removed from the focus, but there will be few if any records to indicate what individuals are responsible for the change taking place. Once the triggers change the conscious thinking process of those participating, that will be the only connection that can be made, on a one-by-one basis. Meanwhile, the spread of the consciousness change will continue with its inevitable results. Thus, the purposeful intent to structure the change within the individual consciousness serves a dual purpose. It increases the opportunity for individual evolvement and provides the vehicle for the advancement and transcendence of the planetary whole without the danger to life and limb that would be associated with the usual rebellion scenarios that have been repeated over and over to little or no avail. The advantages are many, most of which are yet beyond the limited human mind to comprehend. That too will change. With the acceptance of self and planetary responsibility, the brain, mind will activate to a greater and greater degree. Though purposefully imposed, the limited brain capacity was held in place by the victim consciousness. That in turn was held in place by the desire to be rescued by a source outside the self and humanity as a whole. This further provides the understanding for the weekly programming lessons stressing the need to ask outside help in all areas of life, to turn over life to outside greater wisdom, and the media depiction of the constant stream of victim situations. All is carefully coordinated to keep the victim consciousness firmly anchored within the mass consciousness. It is our purpose to change the mass consciousness to personal and planetary responsibility, where it belongs. End chat per 33.